capable on this, and this is another big story for this matchup. How is Bjergsen going to handle blue coming fresh off his defeat of Abadaga?
And it makes sense that Dig is just power picking their bot lane here. In a lot of previous games when Thresh was open, TL actually first picked that multiple times in the group stage. But taking it for Biofrost, I think, is a good call.
Yeah, one thing, though, with Aphelios that you have to work around is the bit of lack of range when you're facing stuff, you know, like Corki, where rockets are coming in big. So sometimes it pushes the builds more towards, you know, like getting a second item Bloodthirster or something like that for a bigger shield and even more sustain. We've got an update on the Yon stream. It seems about 300 of you have gone over to check him out, and it's still going on while his team is playing.
This is the new JAT stat that we have to track consistently through, see what Yon's numbers are looking like on the stream. Though, a little bit back to the draft, not going to see the Diana officially from Santorin. They have locked in the Xin Zhao for that position. Still have an opportunity to get that bot lane worked out later. Graves being the next lock-in as well. And
so no surprises at all from the Team Liquid side for their draft. All of these champions they've already shown high preference for. Multiple Graves games from Bwipo. Santorin's second most preferential jungle champion behind the Trundle is the Xin as well. So not giving anything away in a first game of a best of 5 is not necessarily a surprise. But we are seeing way more engage on the side of Dignitas here. That Jarvan, once again for River, he's done so well with it. The early playmaking has been on point.
The most pivotal champion, I think, in Dignitas' surprise 2-0 over 100 Thieves last week was Jarvan. So I think it's a smart pick, even if it's not necessarily specifically countering something. It's just looking like solid champions across the board so far for Dig.
Yeah, it's not that great into stuff like Corki, obviously, because
Corki Graves can both be mobile enough to get out of the Cataclysm, so those are both actually like pretty good picks against Jarvan.
Exactly. So we'll have to see how he makes it work in combination with his own team, because it can be a very good combination with Aphelios Ultimate and trying to group up multiple other players for that.
Something to be said about Dignitas sticking with the win conditions that worked with them in their prior series. And as we move on within the draft, the next bans start to come out. Sylas, we haven't actually gotten to see directly in a lot of this play because he is getting taken off the board for a lot of the mid laners galore that have a preference towards that pick.
Yeah, when you're looking at stuff to ban out now for Team Liquid's side, you're trying to ban out stuff that's going to be very aggressive mid and take advantage of Corki's weak early lane phase. Because while he does have Valkyrie, you don't want to have to spam Valkyrie in lane trying to avoid ganks from Jarvan and a kill threat mid lane opponent, because it costs 100 mana. Extremely high mana cost on that. And Dignitas here with Blue, if they could get him something extremely punishing early into this Corki, try and take advantage of River's very aggressive jungling style. That would be a way to open up the map early, because they don't want to have to deal with the late game.
I mean, Blue's Zoe has been really solid. Victor is like the Corki Victor thing that you just do, so it's no surprise if they go with that. But if they wanted a little bit more early lane pressure, Zoe would be the way to go. It's just easy once Corki can itemize a little bit of MR. Corki will have the mid-game shove. It's just an early game pick.
And if you want to go a lot more, then you go like Akshan or Lucian or something like that. Get really deep in there. Not going to go outside the meta, though. Victor does, especially in my opinion, but also depending some on player skill, have more authority than Corki early on in this lane phase. You go airy on it, you play aggressively early on. We'll have to check on the positioning here for jungle routes, because Victor is also easily more punishable by jungle.
A tale as old as Season 12 is in the mid lane, Corki and the Victor facing off. A lot of the targets towards Team Liquid in the bans were towards that support position in the later phases, and it's Tom Kench getting brought through on the table.
You know what that means? Senna Tom. Coming back.
Yay.
We did see a little bit.
Senna, when Graves was a jungler, I always thought Senna Graves was just such a lethal duo in terms of team fighting. The front to back on this, even though their engage isn't going to be that good, the amount of damage that TL is going to be able to pump out is pretty absurd.
And we should say that we are now on the patch where you've got the guaranteed slow that was added to the queue there for Senna. So that's why we're seeing her come back in a very big way. Tom Kench also buffed up for support role quite significantly. So both of them holding hands basically on the patch. It was a very good patch for this specific duo.
I hear so much enthusiasm in your voice, Kobe, about what we're about to witness in that bot lane. And Senna, full firepower last time around during last week, but again, new patch, new look for her.
Yeah, and it's going to be a very dangerous look, so we shall see for Dignitas. Can they keep this party bus rolling? Can they try and get some upsets here versus Team Liquid?
With the full lineups now on the table in Champ Select, we know what champs will be taking to the Rift. What do you expect from these two squads?
Not a whole bunch of action early. Especially with what TL has, I think mostly Santorin's going to be looking to neutralize River. I do think it's something he's historically been very, very good at. You look at the way River got advantages for
information against them is one of my favorite parts about jungling. So that's why I've really enjoyed watching River, because he takes that information game to its fullest, plays a lot of the mind games, working around what he knows that you can see.
All good reasons for us to track exactly where these junglers are going to go in the early game, both of them being described as facilitative in their own right, but still having their own style. Game number 1 of our semifinal series here in LCS Lock-In. An unexpected matchup in Team Liquid and Dignitas, but we definitely feel the fire on both sides as we have a pretty standard spread, and a lot of the picks we've been seeing throughout the tournament thus far, aside from some of those adjustments, particularly on the bot side.
Bjergsen is not even a color. Burned, roasted, absolutely destroyed. There's no comeback for that. All right, we're going to get, looks like a late invade here as Santorin groups up with Bwipo. Now, doesn't have a sweeper in the hands of either jungle or top lane.
Thresh is roamed up, so you normally expect Thresh to be in lane because the prio is so important, but this is a nice read by the ward, and they're going to have numbers here.
Yep, sought out directly on top of that ward, and Fake God is getting some slams into Santorin, an early flash into the Baron pit for that escape. Bwipo coming over the wall with a quick draw, but nothing else going to come from there.
And I want to track what River can do with this basically 20-second advantage and a flash up, because bottom lane is really sacrificed for that red buff secure.
And significant health lead. Both potions chugged by Santorin, still very low in the jungle from that early harassment. Good read here by Dignitas, again, getting a very promising early jungle start, and sweeper on bottom sides mean they can clear it out. Now, I will say the ward that TL left up by Raptor Pit Brush did see the transition from red buff down, thank you observers, to the bottom half of the map. So they know at least River is trying to make something happen on the bottom half of the map, and they question mark ping their own red buff, but he makes his pass.
That's a big moment, actually, because based on the fact that the bottom lane put so much time into clearing the vision, you almost expected River to just take red buff, and he had the time to do so, but instead, he was looking to gain a kill for the bottom lane. That didn't pan out, so honestly, I feel like that time gain was actually just lost by River when he went for that gank that wasn't going to pan out because his bottom lane was just level 1.
Not finding the advantage that he wanted to in bot lane, so going back into his standard own side of the jungle to keep getting up on that experience. Santorin able to pull ahead slightly because of that action.
Bwipo taking full advantage of the pushing power of Graves. Of course, while jungle for Team Liquid did lose out in the level 1, there was a good chunk from Bwipo down onto Fake God, push him out before the minions, and then Graves also easily able to control minion wave, shove him under, and be able to get the early priority. Early reset for him, should be able to get one of the cheater purchases off.
And it is a little peculiar now because Santorin is still playing as if his bot jungle was clear. Ayla's going to find that out right now because he just walked through the jungle to see what River has done. So after taking Raptor, Santorin can then go and retake his red side. Might be a lot of action down here, though, as the wave is bouncing back towards Dig, and River is there for the stacked wave.
All right, starting the back right now, but Biofrost escorting him through that try so they can pressure this somewhat, the wave pushing in, but instead they'll decide to back off.
Yeah, Tahm Kench, even with the changes for abilities, it's still pretty hard to dive Senna Tahm Kench. Yes, you know, Devour is ultimate now, but still quite tanky himself, and the healing from Senna under tower would be way too much.
All right, checking back in on the game state. Pretty even over in the mid lane, though, in terms of that farming. Not going to be much action there for some time. Fake God escorting that wave up towards the top side, and Rivers decided not much going to happen for me on the bot side. I'll hover over here instead.
I also really like how Bwipo has recognized after the early shove-in and is trying to take full advantage of this Gragas lane here. Went with the cull, already starting to work away at those cull stacks, and very clearly Fake God, if there was any even possible question, for sure is going with the tank build. Has grasp in lane, early tier, builds you into the Fimble Winter. So it just turns Grax into such a powerful playmaker and tank for you later on, which has been a position that they've tried to have him on very frequently here, when you have that extra move speed from the chem tank as well as so much tankiness from the renewable shield.
And I'm curious what's going to happen at the end of Santorin's jungle path right here, as he's still been on the map for the first 5 minutes, 20 seconds. Mainly he's just playing defense to get this wave into the turret, but it would be a possible dragon attempt. Mostly though, I think he's just there in case a counter gank comes in from Jarvan.
Even took that bush pathing so that he wouldn't be seen if necessary to get into the fold, but the dragon has officially spawned, so those rotations down towards that bot side do make sense.
I mean, yeah, just a hover there on the end of the route. Make sure there's no aggressive play as we are looking at all the options here from River. Still, Summoner Spells being available makes it pretty difficult to try and set one of these up too, so. I will say though, for this lock-in tournament, you know, one of my big surprises and something that made me smile is how well Biofrost has been playing as one of those, you know, longer-standing players, and coming back and being able to have some success already early on in the tournament. Gives me definitely hope for them.
I mean, the whole Dignitas team, based off that series they had against Hunter Thieves, 2-0ing the defending LCS champions, no one expected Dig to even be in this position. If you think back to the original lock-in draft, they're basically last in gym class, right? And everyone wanted to play against him, as the River is taken control of by the TL Roam.
Indeed, the River has been taken control of. The River is forced to recall. And mid lane should be blue having to give up pressure because you can only take a very short trade there knowing you've lost full jungle power.
It's a really bad joke that for some reason I just realized, but having River and Blue, if you're using player names instead of champion names, that could get very confusing. So
sometimes
like,
it's hard to avoid it.
In Blue.
Yep, you
going
just
for
want to say it. Even more, all the way on this side. We'll see how that goes. But back over to that support point on Biofrost and how he has been playing, having some of those Enchanter champions early on and now bringing back into the fold some of these engages. The Thresh, for instance, such a high priority, but Ayla having the different pick for him at this point is just an interesting thing to kind of watch up, right? Biofrost coming back from the veteran fold and Ayla really making a name for himself in recent weeks as one of the newfound supports under the learnings and the teachings of Core JJ.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of really positive things to say about Ayla. He was actually the MVP of the OPL, which was the Pro League over in Australia before it changed in the last couple years. Big gank from River, though.
Oh, Bjergsen has to Valkyrie away, so River's just going to reside with Blue directly under the turret. No sums lost in this one.
Yeah, Corky Victor so far. Really, River's just trying to give Blue a nice recall timing with that gank.
Yep, takes the gank, forces the extra mana burn on Valkyrie, but also takes the rocket, doesn't allow the interrupt on the recall, and Team Liquid happy to continue scaling. Their solo laners thriving here, both of them in their lanes, I would say even moisturized and fully fully pushing in both of these solo lanes, Graves and Corky. With the full control means you even could start up Riftfield here for Santorin. Actually, there is no teleport on Bjergsen, so would even be moving in.
He does have package, so they know that he can get there very quickly. This is an interesting Herald that's basically taken completely through top lane pressure. A lot of times, if you're going to go for an 8-minute Herald, it's because you have some type of bot lane move as well, but that's just how much Whippo has control of the top lane. Syncing that up with the timing of the package made it a pretty easy Herald for Santorin. So it's 0-0, but I'd say the early game's going pretty heavily in the favor of TL.
Yeah, package is no-brainer to sync up with Herald because 8 minutes
is when it spawns.
Works out for both of them.
Some harass in the top lane, but just getting knocked back a little bit. Santorin, during their previous series against FlyQuest, had full objective control, clearly prioritizing that. But this time around, it's Dignitas that grabbed that first dragon on the bot side, trading for that objective focus on top.
Yep, no big surprises here. Meanwhile, continuing to work off this top pressure of Whippo now farming between turrets. Santorin is able to get and replenish the deep vision you can see on this red quadrant of the jungle. Raptors will respawn, but River, knowing he's lost full control of the top side of the map, should continue to play off of bottom half. So we'll see where he goes from. Gromp should probably be into bottom quadrant. He's actually just going to recall. Instead, probably has the whip completion. One of the biggest completions for junglers. Actually, only being able to complete the mallet there really sucks. That feels terrible as a jungler. So now that he's finally finished the whip, it increases your clear speed, especially for the AoE camps, tremendously, as well as adding that burst for your combo. So a much better little component item now picked up.
Absolutely, and I'm just tracking Blippo. I mean, he was at 100 CS by 9:30. He's at 107 by 10 minutes. And he was a big part of why TL was able to take that whole top side of the jungle. But here's the gank.
Good flash. Little bit of a window there to be able to get the flash off, and well done by Blippo, necessary there. So it's flash for flash plus the ultimate in the end, and he trades up on cooldowns as Fake God tries to set him up there for River.
And because we're at 10:40 with still no kills in the game, you're kind of wondering, where is that 1,400 gold advantage coming from? And a lot of it is through Whippo, but then the other part is, like, everyone has these windows of time where it's their turn to do something. At the very start of the game, right, River had that window of time where he tried to gank bottom lane, at least looked to gank bottom lane, didn't get anything done, and didn't take any farm. When TL was invading the red buff of Dignitas, Dig was getting vision down here in the jungle of TL, but they didn't take any camps. So there's a lot of these really small trades where Dig isn't accruing gold, but TL is, and that's where the advantage is coming from.
Yeah, and it is Blippo and Santorin, the two big gold holders.
Yep.
Thus far from Team Liquid gaining them.
Wanting to capitalize upon the 1.6k gold lead they've already established, and seeing that early movement from the junglers and the supports working in tandem to keep that pressure across the map.
Next thing we're going to look for is the Rift Herald play, because it is approaching timeout duration. Bottom side.
Hook throws the box up. Ayla walking through it, but they can't follow up at this point in time. Just going to push that wave.
I would think because Whipple has so much control, you would be able to get a very effective Herald play towards top side, but with multiple champions here from Dig being invested for what Team Liquid would think would be some deep vision up on that side and a possible attempt, Santorin now heads through the bottom side river to pick up Scuttle Crab and fish here.
Yeah, tick-tock on that Rift Herald clock. So much vision across that bot side river in favor of Team Liquid for them to move freely and find that opportunity to drop it down.
If you get into combat even and don't die, and you're just in combat and you don't get to drop it before it expires.
It's like 10 seconds left on the Herald.
It's got to be mid.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Bjergsen. Get some cash.
320 gold. Here we go.
There it is. Shelly gonna crash into this turret, get some of the plates off as well. Blue and River can't defend too much off of it. You can see some rotation from Bifrost if there is a follow-up engage, but just gotta drop it before that timer expires and inject even more gold into the Team Liquid side.
Yeah, some little things with that. As long as you drop it within charge range of the tower, then it's going to get off.
Yeah.
The problem then, hiccup that you come into is you can drop it a little bit far away and then it gets aggro on some minions or a champion or something. And you're unable to get it, but guarantees it there because even with popping an eyeball and a smite there, not able to get it.
Sweeper from River to make sure he's unseen here, but Whippo doing the smart thing and backing off when they don't know exactly where the enemy jungler is.
Yeah, he's continuing to really exert a lot of dominance. He had such an early mythic timing there with the Eclipse, so he's going to continue to bully this lane. One thing to track though, so far in Lock-In Tournament, Whippo is 46% of Team Liquid's deaths in the games that he's played. He's applying a lot of pressure, but that is the highest death percentage of any player I've seen in the world so far. And I haven't tracked the minor regions, but all the major regions, no one has a death percentage that high. And he's just applying pressure. If they do kill him with this gank, it'll open up Dragon, but he's on knife's edge. He might get a kill, though.
Yeah, Fake got chunked down. River goes in with a flag and drag. The Cataclysm is up. He drags his life first. Whippo gets it. 2 killed and a double kill for the Team Liquid top laner.
Cataclysm. This is actually Whippo the Gladiator. Welcome. You're not going to escape with your lives this time around. Senna ultimate from the bottom lane. Goes all the way up there to help him out, give him that little bit of an edge.
They have their cake and eat it too. He gets pressure. It's the Senna factor to turn it. Now, not only do they get the double kill top lane, they can still trade on the bottom. So that's even better than just getting 2 kills.
The boldness with which Bwipo plays, you can
7,000
see
gold.
it in that moment, and that gold will continue to expand as he chunks down onto that top turret just that much more. The turret completely coming to a fall. So top lane won, baby, and now this second Drake that has spawned should be going to the Team Liquid side to make that 1-1 on the Drake scoreboard.
That will make any jungler, no matter how sunny your disposition is, your stomach just drops when you get 2v1. Because as you say, Dad, not only did you just lose your skirmish on the top side and give up 2 kills, but you lose all control of the map because your position is revealed. You've been taken off the map. So it's a sweep here for Team Liquid. They pick up the Dragon on the other side. They've got so much to work with.
The game is kind of out of hand, too. You could see 2 didn't work, so they thought about sending 3 that time with Victor spending his roam timing to go to River. But Bwipo backed off, so they're losing even more pressure on the bottom side. Like, I would love to see Bwipo's gold right now because he's got to be 2,000 or 3,000 gold up individually on the Gragas. Watching this play one more time, he's just, with the Eclipse build, it's the Omnivamp will keep him generally healthy the whole lane. So if you go for the gank, you have to have a large amount of burst damage and they have to land all of their spells, which they don't. And then Bwipo uses the Cataclysm for the rebound on his Graves Q and just cleans him up.
End of the line. You created your own death zone here. Bwipo not trapped in there with you. You're trapped in there with him. Yeah, Rorschach is having a field day. And look at the armor penetration finished. Okay. Woo. He can actually just even melt Gragas.
I'm a little surprised he didn't go Collector second, but he'll still be able to go Collector into IE and have this insane 60% crit high armor pen build.
Yeah, I mean, Collector would be better against every other champion, so it signals to me that he thinks he's going to keep on fighting Fake God. Yeah. He wants to keep isolating inside lane. He wants to keep just smashing his advantage over the head of Fake God and leveraging this one into the dub.
That gradual lead that we saw early on due to the farming now has expanded into nearly 5K gold lead for Team Liquid, past the 1630 mark. Another Herald grab for themselves. And even down bot, there were lots of waves that were shoved too to make sure that they have those outer turrets in their favor. Neo gonna try and trade for one right now though to get the first Dignitas turret on the board.
I think that was a bit of a mistake by Team Liquid not having either Ayla or Santorin there in time to allow Bjergsen to clear the minion wave and stop Neo from taking that turret. Whenever Aphelios can line up White Gun with an isolated turret, that thing disappears. So that's a good chunk of gold that they would have liked to be able to deny from Neo, but they just didn't quite have their recalls synced up at the right moments.
And some setup around mid, just trying to establish the vision, controls from both sides around this river side. And because of the way the turrets have flown, we've already seen the teams rotate towards their other portions of the map.
Meanwhile, let's return to this Bwipo scenario because he is the story of the
big
game.
boy Bwipo.
Yeah. He's got Unleashed Teleport coming off of cooldown extremely shortly, so it will be lined up for the dragon fight, but they're not even waiting for that advantage. Santorin fighting in the river.
And still 2 minutes to go on that, but River getting chunked down. Another Cataclysm gets the flash out from Santorin, and he's pursued by Blue. A flash forward in response, gets the kill. That's a good play for Biofrost to get the kill onto Ayla here. 3 down on Team Liquid. Dignitas making a stand.
As soon as you start singing their praises, they forget that Bwipo is the one winning this game. Team Liquid was not winning. They take a fight in River erroneously away from Bwipo just before the cooldown that we pointed out on his Unleashed Teleport is available. It was still on cooldown. He could not get there. He's the Fed member. They lose both sides of the fight, chat, and another turret goes the way of Dignitas. Dignitas clawing their way back. They just gained 2,000 gold back.
Silver linings.
Okay.
Bwipo did get red. So
okay.
He'll have that for a couple minutes. Yeah, he'll keep pushing. No, just a huge swing here from Team Dignitas. I mean, it was really 2 fights erupting at once. I think with how far TL was pushed up in mid lane, they kind of assumed they'd be able to have help in River, but the Fake God roam pushes mid lane back, means TL loses control of River, and it's just a 3-on-3 that started as a 3-on-2 where they end up losing.
It's funny because this plays into a community-wide conversation around top lane right now. Guess what? Bwipo just turbo stomps top lane here. But because he is still back in top lane and he's pushing up there with his teleport cooldown not up, Fake God's like, forget top lane, I'm out of here. I'm going to go with the rest of the team. And Dignitas clawing their way back into it. Yes, it is still a massive gold lead for Team Liquid, But these are the types of things that Dignitas have to look for in this game, leveraging those small windows that they can get a numbers advantage, getting the objective back to.
As this Rift Herald crashes into the mid turret, if you recall from Dignitas last year, Fake God Neo making a name for themselves because even when they were at a deficit, they trusted in these hands. They knew they had the mechanics when things got scrappy. So potentially what they're looking to for a victory.
Yeah, but Bwipo is here now. Bjergsen just caught the wave top. They dropped the Herald to open up mid right before Dragon. Fairly textbook in terms of getting the control here, and it looks like Dignitas is just going to give it up.
Yeah, and they're making the correct call in both cases here, Dig. Even though Dig in the previous one, big winners, and this one, oh yeah, they're losing an objective, they have no other choice than to lose it, you know? Move Blue up there, try and trade on top side turret. You still are facing a big deficit, and you don't want to fight around Bwipo when they are properly allocating their champions.
At least chunking down that deficit somewhat. That was approaching about 5K 5 minutes ago. Now down to 3.4. Still a chunky one, though, for Team Liquid to capitalize upon. And Bwipo, when he's feeling nice and strong, feels A-okay, just pushing this up, chunking down onto Fake God as well.
Yeah, but look at how ridiculous that was. Like, he just took a full rotation from Gragas and then used his spells on the wave, healed the full, and still has permanent pressure in that lane. It takes a family to bring him down right now, because I think if River goes up there again, they still won't have it. So they would need to find a timing to get Blue over there if they want any chance of killing him.
Or find an opportunity when that grouping comes later to just take him out of the situation, but that might not come for some time if Team Liquid knows what's good for them in the win conditions that they have issued.
Honestly, I don't think you can send people, to go deal with that problem.
Gotta ignore
you
it.
have to have, you have to have Blue kill him in the team fight. That's your options, because Graves is going to stack up so much armor with the passive too. Blue's got the best chance of dealing with it later and trying to burst him and take advantage of the range here from Victor, the combination there. That will be the hope. And I think Dig have done a pretty good job trying to stop the bleeding and fight their way back in.
Yeah, and one thing that was also, from the Dignitas side, surprising about their 100 Thieves victory is the second game was stompy, but the first game was very close. And so much of it felt like River just kind of walking around trying to create action, and miraculously it happened. So they're kind of searching for that over and over again. The Gragas is just leaving Graves whenever he's pushing a wave. They're trying to find timings, and they're hoping the TL oversteps.
And that is exactly why in Champ Select we started talking about how Jarvan is not a universally effective pick. Let's take a look here.
Hold up, River tried to go in to get some chunk onto Santorin. Throws Fake God, does belly out of this one. Teleport to bring the full team into the fight. Still a bit of a wave to be cleared up from Team Liquid, though, so no additional engage.
Yeah, the engage initially was a whiff from River, right? It was easily repelled by the Senatom Kench, but it did draw the Bwipo TP, so now the next time he moves to a side lane, the move for a potential fight from Dignitas would be better because Fake God has just gotten TP advantage.
Yeah, Blue's teleport also synced up here, so Blue's gonna have to be walking with the rest of Dig. I think, again, he is so important to this team because he's got Shadow Flame, he's got the burst damage with Ludens to be able to deal with this problem. Try and take care of it before too much damage is actually done.
It does look, though, with the TP advantage. We'll see how they reassign the lanes when Bwipo comes back out of base. But since Bjergsen still has his, Bjergsen will just move to the bottom lane, since Baron is the main objective they have to worry about, and Bwipo will just kind of sit up top lane and maybe keep that wave in. It's going to be interesting to track, though, because TL, through their team comp, sure, they have a lot of damage, but they need to get their fights by pushing waves and setting up for objectives. Their engage itself is pretty poor.
Exactly. That's why Biofrost's positioning has been so important. This Thresh hovering the lane.
Here comes the family. He's dead.
4 people. All right, 4 people can take it down.
Mama, Papa, the kids have all arrived. Bwipo flash forward to want to get this onto Blue. The Chaos Storm has dropped to get a lot of damage right outside of the Cataclysm. He falls, and Ganny turns back a bit. Minions too strong, and there's the kill onto the top laner of Team Liquid.
Dig is right in this game, getting that 800 extra gold onto Blue. That's really going to power him forward. If he gets to death cap, it makes any of the auto attack based champions, which there are basically 2 to 3, depending on how many missiles Bjergsen wants to fire versus auto attacks, it's going to make it very hard for them to play team fights. So they just found a window as Bjergsen was just on a reset and Bwipo was trying to greed one extra wave. They get that fat bounty.
Yeah, simply could not have gone into a better place as well. Blue happily picks it up. Everybody else walks away. Even Neo says, yes, we definitely need that on you. Zhonya's triple item power spike now picked up for Blue. He's got more safety in the fight as well. Dignitas hanging their hopes on this Victor. A couple of really good mid-game answers in choices for lane allocation have gotten Dignitas within striking distance.
Gonna be honest, I don't like the Zhonyas. I want to see like a Lich Bane or a Death Cap. I feel like they have 2.5 frontline with Thresh, Gragas, Jarvan. They really, really need damage to blow through TL, but we'll see if he has a really clutch stopwatch moment in this fight. Looking at the way the mid wave is pushed up though, in 18 seconds until spawn, let's see if there's an objective contest here, because the game plan for TL, even though the gold is only 1,500, they have to kind of get their lead through objectives, and that starts with the waves.
While Team Liquid had gotten both of the Rift Heralds prior to get those early turrets, Dignitas has evened up that board. They have started to slowly shrink down this lead between the two because of things like a big old Whippo bounty that they were able to get prior. And now the Drake is finally up on the bot side. You can see on your map that the Team Liquid members are on it. So officially soul point for them with the Cloud Soul on the way.
I will say, I do give increased value to Zhonya's or stopwatches when your team also has Thresh.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of situations, exactly. You'll get caught out, and then there's a lantern waiting for you as soon as you come out for it. So, but full damage looks better if you don't get caught, if your positioning is pristine.
Yeah.
Sometimes that extra durability just gives you that confidence to make the outplay in the fights. And that's something that Blue has done before to save the game and can try to do if he's given the advantages.
Good control of vision here from Dig around the Baron, forcing Team Liquid. Base check.
Hook over the wall into Whip and knock up the follow-up. Santorin's in it, activates the ultimate as well. Knock up onto Fate, got two. Santorin getting stunned up in the middle of the action. Bjergsen poking from the outside with the missile barrage. Biofrost throwing a hook over the wall. He also narrowly missing the opportunity to die, and he's feeling pretty good about it, all alive on the Rift.
And you can really just see how quickly River had to bail after getting that initial engage onto Team Liquid. The question here is with how much damage they have in the sustain from Senna, do they want to go for Baron? It actually looks like it might end up being a whole lot of nothing.
Not so easy unless you catch Whippo in a 4v1 scenario to take him down.
They have really good Aphelios guns right now in order to do the Baron.
TL fishing.
A death sentence onto the enemy jungler means that Dignitas feel they have pushed him enough at bay to bring their attention back onto the Baron, but lo and behold, Team Liquid is still on the outskirts. We have the teleport from Bjergsen over on the top side, clearing up in those waves, and that's the disengage right there that you're looking for. Too much of a presence from Team Liquid.
It's gonna get more difficult, I have to feel like, too, for Dignitas here. Bjergsen has been scaling extremely well. Has just a CS bounty on his head now. Not even from any kills. As far as moving up, very close to his 3-item power spike as well, trying to work away at the teammate to finish it off so he can get his Ravenous, and then you really start to feel those rockets.
And we talked about Whippo being the rising hero on Team Liquid side, Blue on the time of Dignitas, but Bjergsen, if he gets to that point to now being able to come into these team fights and really poke down, then that's just so many threats that Dignitas do have to worry about. And right now, they have to focus on these threats because Team Liquid take their chance to start up the Baron. They brought it down to about 60% HP. Bjergsen and Ayla zoning on the outskirts of this pit. Fate God rotating around. He's got the sweeper up, knows that there's some vision against them. Teleport coming from the jungle side of Blue. Root and more onto Fate God means he's chunked out of the fight. River also getting a big slap from the Crescent Guard from Santorin here. Team Liquid again able to back off.
Huge devour by Ayla there after Fate God landed a very nice cast onto Whipple that throws him into Team Dignitas. And that attempted Baron Sneak right there, I think is kind of the complexion of the game from here on out. Because as we saw earlier, like TL does not have great engage options. The way they find fights is they try and take control of the zone and then return fire when Dignitas tries to move into that zone. Baron was the stopgap solution for that, didn't lead to any results, but Cloud Soul is going to be coming up in a minute 30, so I think that's going to be the next area of contest.
Yeah, range will continue to get better for them too, because they do have Senna, but as you can see, only 62, I believe, souls on Hans Sama. So still looking for those really annoying range levels, continue farming it up.
So with Team Liquid having such a strong early game and Dignitas continually chunking down to bring this gold lead a little closer to manageable, who are you looking at to make the plays if it's Dignitas that have all of the engage, but Team Liquid are having a struggle finding a way to try and offset that?
Well, they have to prey on the positioning of Team Liquid being split first, because it's obviously going to be Fake God and River making the plays, but it's really about the timing. You saw in the last one where even with a hook starting out on Whippo to pull him in, still the burst damage as River jumps in is 50% of his life, and he can cut through him, which is why he went for so much armor penetration here. Even as they jump in onto him, they have to be very, very careful and precise about where they make this engagement.
And Whippo did use his ultimate there with that mid lane skirmish as well.
Yeah, Neo used Gale Force, which prompted the Whippo ultimate. Gale Force itself for Aphelios, like that mobility, is a very important cooldown actually, but it did give Dignitas the ability to take River, and TL doesn't have a great way of retaking the zone. They can sit out here and poke, but here's the fight.
Oh, root means that you got to get that package out of the equation for Bjergsen. Going in, Fake God, he has enough of the sustain to keep him in this fight. Hansama, nice and under the guise of protection, can back off of this as well. Lots of times where this time we only get the one kill onto Santorin, but it's so much more than we've had in times past. Blue, look at that chunk down, goes into stasis. Whippo's right on top of him, cladding, listen, throwing on the other side. A great hook to follow here. Grabs onto Ayla. His attention is onto River, and he can't take someone down in the process. Team Liquid losing 3 in the fight at 30 minutes here.
Stopwatch! Into Lantern! Into Lantern, baby! That's the key for Dig. Plus, I want to compliment on that engagement. The reason they annihilated Santorin, they got the good bump on him to keep him in gravity field. And then they had the safety to finish off the Xin even inside his own ultimate. Dignitas are just running away with it.
I mean, are they doing it? Like, they 2-0'd 100 Thieves, and they're about to take Baron against TL in game 1. But there's a Cloud Soul that's attempted to be taken. Dig is here to cover.
Oh, some zoning. Hansama gets the brunt of the Gragas explosive gas, and over the wall, Santorin comes and grabs the soul for Team Liquid.
Quick little save there from Santorin, arrives just in time, and Team Liquid are still able to get the soul. But this is still a world where Dignitas have Baron buff to try and push in with and actually get some more of this secondary tower gold.
This game's a banger. It's a certified banger already. I mean, it did start a little slow.
When was the last time we checked in on the Yon stream?
He messaged me. He said, he said someone ratted me out.
Someone!
Yeah.
Jan, I'm sure you got some new subs off of that, buddy. I think that's a thank you. You should have been sending that way. But our eyes on this game have definitely seen a story unfold. That advantage that held for Team Liquid for so long. Dignitas grabbing onto it officially for themselves. 1.4 gold in the lead at 32 minutes here, but
yeah, it's about how Dig can start the fight, because so much of it is about spacing, right? They have the engage tools, but if the engage doesn't happen well in range of the damage, it's not going to be effective. They've been able to win these fights, and here comes another fake engage by River. He gets pretty chunked though.
Biofrost making sure to hover in the jungle alcove so that he can hook anybody if they go too deep onto his team. The Red Bull Baron buff still in play for Dignitas, allows them to take that tier 2 in the bot side, moving as a unit towards mid, but leaving Victor behind so they can take the tier 2 mid, and officially granting themselves much more control over the Summoner's Rift than they have had prior. Bio taking a little bit of chunk there, but nice time for a reset.
One of the key things whenever it ends up being like a Baron for soul situation, the team that gets the soul just needs to absorb the Baron as much as possible, right? Like, make sure the game doesn't end during that duration of Baron. We're going to go back a little bit, though, and watch this fight one more time. Eventually watch for Blue's Zhonya's coming in at just the right time, because it's a pretty close fight up until that point. They land that really long root on a Bjergsen, which basically takes him out of the fight. Santorin goes in, but then, like, right here, Whippo sees a window where he thinks he can one-shot Blue, and that's where the fight turns.
Yeah, and I just really like the move there from River to knock up and keep Santorin in that gravity field so that they could finish him off. And that's the thing that Team Liquid are facing, is they don't have, you know, a really great absorption front line. And so once he goes down there and they kill him even in the ultimate, then you get this secondary engage. They're already down a person, and Blue is able to successfully bait them with the Zhonya's.
If you ever doubt the Zonias, just pull up that play and say, see, it was the right thing to do.
Whoa,
Neo takes a lot of damage, throws out the Moonlight Vigil in response because Dignitas want to continue this push onto the tier 2 on the top side to complete their collection, but Team Liquid do manage to clear it out and push them back.
Yeah, I mean, because if you look at these Dignitas carries, how are you actually taking them down in a team fight situation as Team Liquid? Well, you do have some poke, and while Senna's gonna keep on scaling and keep on getting souls, you're not actually going to secure a final kill on that unless the play has been made. So that's what makes me think, especially with Cloud Soul, TL should branch out more into playing the map than to trying to play into those team fights, because already these carries from Dignitas can hit and can do so much damage without a lot of threat on them.
I agree. It's just, I think as the game gets longer and longer, the map ends up shrinking because the objectives just become higher and higher priority. We've got Elder Dragon coming up in 2 minutes. It would be very important for TL to get a nice spread and get some deep pushes in the sideways. However, I feel like since River and Biofrost Fakeout have so many good engage tools, it's just difficult for them to be able to push sideways without falling in some sort of way. It's really, to me, about whether or not they can shred the front line. Because they have to be, TL has to be able to shred the front line of Dig to just get access to the carries.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of pressure on Bwipo's shoulders, because this is one of the things with this Corki build that got so popular. This Corki build is meant to put pressure on backliners and hitting those rockets around the front line, not through the front line. This is not the Infinity Edge auto attack Corki style. These are all the power budget for the build being put into these rockets. And if you don't get that high value chunking out backline members, then the bonus question is, does Bjergsen end this game 0-0-0?
I know, I'm looking down
right now.
Still a little bit of a bounty just based off of that farming from earlier, and hasn't had any kill participation for himself just yet. A lot of the story of this season, who scales, who feels better at this later portion in the game. Looking at those engage tools from Dignitas when you get into skirmishes like this. Death Sentence thrown out from Biofrost, but it's not going to connect.
And we've kind of seen this setup before. It's TL trying to have mid-wave pressure. Dig has control of the river, but they're already posturing a minute before any of the objectives come up. And that's because, really the map has shrunk at this point. Those are the 2 objectives they need to play for.
Yeah, and just having Victor bridges so much of the gap of range, because you would think, okay, Team Liquid, well, yes, they don't have as great engage, but maybe they can land some very good poke damage. You see Hans trying to fish for these snares. They're trying to go for chunks. But Victor controls so much range with the laser that he's been giving back and creating that space back for Dig quite well.
Bjergsen's joined the rest of Team Liquid, does have package, so he'll be able to impact this fight effectively should it break out. 18
that's a good
seconds.
rocket.
Good rocket right before this Elder comes up in just a little bit of time, so the fight soon to follow.
That poke lets TL into River, and they have the mid-wave. This is a really tough position for Team Dignitas, but watch River. He's trying to make the best of the bad situation by trying to get behind TL. This is going to be a huge fight.
Ransom vision across the river, back from Bwipo right now. Should have teleport to get back into it.
If you're Team Dignitas, you want to wait about 30 more seconds. You hope this Elder doesn't start because you want the package to wear off from Corki. That's why TL is starting the Elder Dragon right now, because they don't want that package timing to expire.
It's officially pulled out of the pit. They have the firepower needed if they should go for it. Fake God zoning on the off-skirts, standing inside the smoke screen, doesn't have vision of the rest of the team. Manages to find his way over to Blue, who goes into Scasis once again. Some healing for the Dignitas squad. The Dragon is continuing to get focus. A good chunk down onto Biofrost and Neo. The flash to follow. That sentence lands onto Ayla. Ayla pops to the back. Makes sure to gobble up Bjergsen to keep him safe here as well. Too many members of Dignitas are nice and low. They can't chunk into this.
Yeah, Fake got chunked out, and Chaos Storm was used. This Baron, or this Dragon is going to go this way.
All right, Neo resurrecting at this point of time. River getting knocked up in the pit. It's the jungler versus jungler around the actual objective itself. While Bjergsen wants to get the rockets through. Safeguard flashes in. Cataclysm thrown up. He gets blown up in the middle of the action. Santorin way too low to get into it himself. Now Ayla zoning. Oh, turning it back onto the frog himself. Dignitas coming through and chasing out Team Liquid from the fight.
That Dragon Dragon had 52 HP. That after the smite, it could have been stolen with a rocket. Dignitas get it though. River auto attacks it after they finish it up. In the end, Dignitas win out on the legendary Dragon Dance. Whippo though is gonna have himself...
ridiculous game. He's trying to buy time right now because Elder can transition into Baron. I don't know about this from Whippo. One more poke and he's just blown up.
Look where that bar is on his HP with the Elder buff in tow.
Get out of there, Whippo!
Blue's got a death ray to throw.
He is
They're
fast.
just in pursuit.
He is fast.
He is.
The
Even
Cloud
throws
Soul
up.
speed. He's out.
Let's go. He's gonna have to deal with a teleport here,
teleport.
collapsing though.
Gotta heal.
That's extra speed.
I think he just cleared the wave again. Keep farming.
Whippo
Baron is going down.
Whippo is for sure the hero of Team Liquid, but Dignitas, they eventually give up on the chase and they have turned their eyes towards that Baron, with the rest of the team for Team Liquid come poking around.
And not much way for Team Liquid to be able to come up onto this. Teleport not available for Bubba. He's just still chilling here. On the bot side has Bjergsen to help him out as Fake God does belly away. And there you have it, baby. Red Bull Baron buff number 2.
But it's time for guerrilla warfare from Team Liquid. I think they've done the 5v5 eye contact a couple of times now. Dignitas has narrowly won both of them. Now the Team Dignitas has Baron and Elder. That's the type of play that Kobe was calling to see more of earlier. Like, get creative, send Whippo into sides, shadow him with Bjergsen. Just try and pick off these turrets and keep Dignitas spread out so that they can't combine their front line with their damage dealers.
Oh, Lord, though. There's some time for Team Liquid to wait out, though, with the Baron buff in tow. You've got Elder just expiring within about 30 seconds time. And this game has cracked wide open on a knife's edge with Dignitas pulling through.
All right, looks like the Elder Dragon is about to expire in 20 more seconds, though. Team Liquid won't have to deal with that anymore, though they will have to deal with the pushing power from the Baron. And Dig have a lot of cannon waves to work with. 2 minutes left on this Baron, so they can just siege up outside of these inhibitor turrets and continuously throw down the lasers. Again, TL don't have the best engage, so it's hard for them to force and break the siege.
Yeah, but you can also see the cannons that TL has on their team. Like, they're not even letting these Baron waves.
Whippo is pushing them backwards. Yeah. The siege is going backwards.
He had enough gold to sell his rapid fire cannon and buy a Bloodthirster. So he's definitely item capped at 41 minutes.
They are also actually keeping the cannon minions off of the towers by attacking them so forcibly. So Dig, 3 more minion waves to work with. Blue actually able to draw the attention of Whippo, and ultimate isn't a very big usage, a big investment from him. You can pretty freely use that, so it shouldn't be too much. Again, though, Neo, no green guns, so no extra range. You can't really walk up to these towers, and the cannon minions have had a hard time hitting as well.
With still a minute's time left on this Baron buff, you can see the waves pushing towards these side lanes, and Team Liquid will have more difficulty to offset. Teleport near Blue, and Blue knows that it's coming, so he sends down the death ray, and he goes, pop, Whippo, I knock you on the head, I want to play this hippo time and get you out of the fight. So Team Liquid know that they are undervalued here. Sentinel crossing along, all of them, Cataclysm into the backline. Ayla is locked inside here. Hansama doing his best to poke from the outskirts, but Fake God has his eye on him. River ends up flashing for the kill. Bjergsen is on his own to try and defend the Team Liquid base here. And Corky in the end is just a little Yordle, baby. Can't do much to go against the power that Dignitas have brought through. Nexus turret number 1, Nexus turret number 2. Bottom of the draft in lock-in. Top of game number 1 in our first semifinal.
It's Dignitas, baby. The party bus is fully operational once again. Last year, this team also underestimated. The misfits of the LCS fighting their way above all expectations. And now, after taking down 100 Thieves 2-0, start off this best of 5 versus Team Liquid with a win. What a big one. Man, that last teleport to was so funny. That's exactly why I was talking about Blue is the best chance to kill Whippo. Instantly melted. That is full late game victor.
That clip, that could last a while, I think. Like when your Graves TP flanks. He died in like half a second.
Whippo really embodied the conversation around top laners this this entire game. He's smashing lane. He's getting so much done, pushing towers, running around the map, everything he possibly can.
This is the LCS 10 year. That, even though it's just lock-in, reminded me a lot of like the Huni Lucian flank TP. It's a different top laner, but that energy was really right there.
For sure. It's an AD marksman, you know.
Yeah. How long is this Dignitas streak gonna go?
All I know is they
dig to the moon.
Yep. They prepared for it. Brought that party bus in for an oil change. It's working out so well. We'll have to see what else they can do in this series as they continue their momentum and claim game number 1. And